Innovative content. Global audience.
Hello, a very warm welcome to you and good morning. It's a very cold morning here in London, the world's capital city. My name is Princess Cassie, and I have with me on the studio this morning. Yes, sorry, our able Daddy Chris is not able to join us. Of course, we're capable, the ones here. And of course, I have with me Kenneth Paul and Maryval Eze, all the way from Abuja. Good morning.
Good morning, all the way from Abuja. Good morning to you all in London.
Good morning, Princess. How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine. How are you guys today?
Oh, well, yeah,
Very good.
it's okay.
Yeah, we have quite a lot coming in from the news this morning. Viewers, this is Wake Up Nigeria. Of course, later on the show today, after the review segment, we're going to be looking at, rape. There was a particular judgment yesterday that actually pleased the citizens. That verdict, the citizens saw as if it's like overdue. That was how a lot of people did describe the court's sentence yesterday. And will this even serve as a deterrence to others? We don't know yet, because the more we talk, the more we do, the more we see crimes on a daily basis. But we do hope that with what happened yesterday, Lagos was agog yesterday. I watched some of the videos and I was just smiling. Anyway, we hope that this will serve as a lessons to others. And that's the issue we'll be looking at later during the show. And of course, this morning, coming from the news, we have quite a lot. Your lawmakers are up again, this time on the news for a negative reason. Anyway, these are some of the issues we'll be looking at today. And Paul, how do you? Let me throw this to you first, Paul. We know that the lawmakers are insisting that they will have to buy these expensive cars because of insecurity issues. What is the hope of the common man? Because these people are getting, they are covering themselves, they are secure. Well, what is not left for us?
Well, thank you very much for the good one. It's a tricky question. But for me, I say the hope of the common man has always been the same since.
I know these guys are your guys, Paul, because you are the other day you were actually on your side. That is why I threw that question. Anyway, hold that thought. We'll move on quickly with the reviews, and of course we get to that headline pretty soon. Now we'll continue. We'll move on now with the Punch newspaper. These are some of the stories coming from the Punch this morning. Of course, we have quite a lot headlines coming in from here today, and let's move on to the Punch. And these are some of the stories we have coming from the Punch today. The main headline here says, multiple taxation. Tinubu panels asks government to drop 190 taxes. OPS blames states. And the rider says panel okays 10 levies, says 200 taxes. Bodysum lobbies and National Assembly states. President endorses tax reform. Panel to address FIRS pledges implementations. Now, all the stories are on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says a Senate probe 11 trillion refinery repairs Summers carry, and that story is on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says FEC shares of EFCC chair other staff to declare assets. That story is on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. As well, we'll have another story here that says reps fought CBN's forest ban lift. NECA kicks, and that story is on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says DSS nabs a suspected terrorist wife, recovers 150 AK-47 rifles, and that story is on page 14 of the Punch newspaper. There's a story here that says Lagos cancer doctor Olaliye backs life J for rape. And that story is on page 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. As well, we have a story here that says slain Nigerian student, Philippines police file murder cases against suspects. And that story is on page 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. Now, these are all the stories we have coming from the Punch this morning. Of course, Kenneth, we have quite a lot, but let's start from the one EFCC chair other staff to declare assets. Don't recall, I personally covered the story of Saraki. I think that should be like 10 years or 7, 8. I can't remember precisely, but I was in the court. I covered that story for my then media station, and yeah, all everybody was clamoring Saraki being the Senate president who have to declare assets because Buhari did declare assets and all that. Where did that lead us? Nowhere. And now the new EFCC chairman in a country where we have, issues raging left and right. He is hitting hard on the staffs to go and declare assets. Now, what's your take on this?
Well, I think it's a welcome development, considering the fact that the former EFCC boss just returned some billions of naira to the federal government, which he looted. So I think charity begins at home. EFCC should, this time around, trying to clean their house. Is within the view of the average Nigerian that EFCC has lost the confidence of most Nigerians when it comes to chasing this corrupt maybe call them politicians or even Nigerians. The only time we see EFCC is when they go to Lekki to go and bust the house of supposed Yahoo boys, who most times they never make it to court, which means to me it becomes more like an extortion ring between the EFCC, field officers and those that want to claim that they are doing the job. But declaring the asset for the average EFCC operative, for me, should not even be making the news because these are civil servants, these are public servants. So it's expected that they don't even, you don't need to ask them to declare their assets. Their assets should be within, the view of the public. The last time we saw even Atiku Abubakar go down to the United States trying to get the tax record of the now president Bola Ahmed Tinubu when he was in the United States. So another question is, how many Nigerians or how many public officials in Nigeria can you apply using the Freedom of Information Bill to get their tax record or to get even their earnings, to get their assets, to get whatever they hold? So it's a welcome development, but I don't think it's something we should be celebrating because this is the basic of public service. It should be something that every, not just the EFCC, but every security agent across the country, every civil servant across the country, every public office holder across the country should do willingly without having been, pushed by your superiors to do it. But for me, I'll say kudos to the boss. But of course, for me right now, I don't really trust any boss that's in the EFCC because Mr. Bawa just returned some billions of naira, like I said earlier. So these guys are complicit in whatever happens in corruption and money laundering in Nigeria.
But also that you saying that it's not something we should applaud because it's something every civil servant should do. Recall that the last time we saw something like this was during Saraki because people felt the ex-president, they saw him then as a messiah, as a saint, and because he did declare asset, people actually wanted to kill Saraki when Saraki said he was not going to declare asset until he was actually heard at the CCT and he did declare asset. And we saw that nothing happened. And so I don't think this is the headway. That is my personal opinion. Mary, what's your view on this?
Okay, my view on this is that I feel like, just like what Mr. Kenneth just said, it's not something to celebrate, and it's not something that we should even be talking about because this has been going on. Even though it's coming out right now, I don't think it's something we need to even talk about on this thing.
Okay. Nigerians are actually talking about it, whether or not we talk about it or you choose not to talk about it, because they felt at this stage, especially now that we are in their need of monies, funds here and there to revive the economy. EFCC should first of all go hard on people that they need to go hard on. This is a way of wasting time. A lot of people and analysts yesterday they say the same thing, that They don't want this kind of distraction. Go hard on people. Nigeria has so much money, and a lot these monies are in the hand of few people, and this is what the people want EFCC to do. And of course, there's a story here as well that says DSS nab suspected terrorist wife recovers 150 AK-47 rifle. Ken.
It's something to celebrate. But I believe if you are in senior climes, the Director General of the Customs would have resigned, because these guns did not just drop from the skies. These guns were smuggled across the border, and it means, like I said the last time I was on the show, that the custom officers are the weakest point of the Nigerian security architecture. You can tell me that these guns were manufactured in Nigeria, because even Nigerian army imports the gun they use. So definitely these guns were imported. They were smuggled across the border one way or the other. But kudos to DSS. They are doing exactly what Nigerians are praying that they do. But also, we want to know the terrorist that was caught. We also want to know the terrorist wife that was caught. Want to know how for instance, here in London, most times you get this news over there. Things have been, for me, a lot of security information is shrouded in secrets in Nigeria that you can't even say if it's real.
They will just tell you what they want you to hear.
You understand?
But give details of how did this thing happen. Who is involved? You won't hear that one.
Yeah, where did this operation happen?
So
who was nabbed?
This is something about headlines, you guys. You have to go and check the detail of that story later. Just
I know for sure. Even the details, they'll never give you the name of the terrorist.
But I didn't know that. I went into details, and I know that happened somewhere in Niger State, a community where the DSS just went there to raid, and of course they went into, funny enough, the surprising thing on that news is that I didn't know that terrorists live within us. I thought like they were in the forest, or they were far in the bushes. So this news actually shows that they are actually around the people, that in the community, people around you. So that is some, and this one even has a wife, as we can see here, that the wife is in the wife is she was with the rifle, the AK-47. That is something that is in a developed country, that is not a news that the government will take very lightly. Anyway, we move on quickly to the next newspaper we have this morning. And of course, we have quite a lot of stories here. And before we go, Ken, to the next paper, Reps also summoned the new CBN governor over forest ban lift. When the man just came in, the first thing he did was that he had to lift ban on rice importation, a lot of things and all that. Now, he's been summoned as to that regard. Do you think the reps are in the right direction?
Well, the reps definitely are doing the constitutional mandate, which is to be sure that the people they represent are well protected, that the policies being enacted by the new CBN boss, Mr. Kadaso, is in alignment with the interests of their people. But for me, I think the reps are being overzealous right now. This is not what they should. This is maybe they are within their rights, but this is not the right direction, because this guy has barely settled into office, and then the first one or two policies put in place, they're already chasing him and they're calling him. They want to question him. They want to ask him. For me, it's distraction to the man, but of course, it's within the constitutional right of the reps to invite a public office holder anytime they want to do that, to get clarification on some certain things. But then this also shows the disparity between the rep and, of course, the executive, because I don't think the CBN boss just did this on his own. He probably must have consulted his principal, who of course is the president, and for him to give assent for him to move ahead with such policy, and then the reps calling him back to question. It shows some other level of animosity towards the present government. As you know, the House of Rep most times are a bit opposition minded more than the Senate. But of course, it's within their rights. It's their job they're doing, and maybe Nigerians want clarification and they want to give this clarification. But for me, I think the poor should be left to breathe, because whatever policy the young man has put in place to, stifle this effect of forex on importation of goods was actually to make sure that these goods come into Nigeria and for the average Nigerian to, enjoy a better life with, more access to goods, probably cheaper, probably more healthier. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, then we move on quickly to the next newspaper we have, and that will be the Nigerian Tribune. Now, we have quite a lot of news coming from the Tribune this morning, quite a lot. But we're just going to take few of these headlines coming from the Tribune. Now, these are some of the stories we have. And we have here Senate justifies purchase of 160 million SUVs. And the writer says Nigerians should examine lifestyles of ministers. Probe probe 11.35 trillion naira spent on refineries maintenance since 2010. All these stories are on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says reps invite CBN governor over lifting of FS ban on 43 items to probe Benue Bank robbery. And that story is on page 8 and 12 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says federal government unveils plans to reduce collectible taxes, say Nigerians burdened by over 200 taxes. That story is on page 21 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Nigerians to vaccinate 7.7 million girls against leading cause of cervical cancer. And that story is on page 21 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Clark to Tinubu amend NDDC Act to exclude Imo, Abia, Ondo as non-Niger Delta states. And that story is on page 10 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. And we also have a story here that says court sentences Lagos doctor Olaleye to life imprisonment for raping wife's niece. That story is on page 12 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. As well, we saw a story here that says U.S. court denies urgent request for release of Tinubu's dossiers. That story is on page 28 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. As well, we have a story here that says Odra investment moves to revolutionize digital education in Southwest. That story is on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Now, these are all the stories we have coming from the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. Of course, we saw that there's quite a lot of story, like I said here. But let's look at the main headline, guys. Senate justifies purchase of 160 million SUVs. Says Nigerians should examine lifestyles of minister. Is this not laughable? Is this not a joke? I throw this to the two of you.
It is laughable. You are right that it's a joke, honestly. I don't know what these people see us as or what they take us as because they actually just do things hoping that there's nothing we can do, or I don't know if they're trying to deceive us, you understand? So which one is examine the life of ministers? How come about this kind of XUV that they acquired? Still in the same country that we are finding everything so difficult and they're not doing anything about it. The price of fuel is just so high. The price of foodstuff is just so high. Yeah, they just do anything they want with the money. So where's the money coming from then?
It's quite shameful, to see that the senators now, lawmakers are now saying, when you point someone, the other fingers are actually looking at you. This is the case of pot calling kettle black, as far as I'm concerned. They are not saying, go leave us alone. They did say, I saw the news yesterday, and they did say it for insecurity reasons, like we said earlier. So you shade yourself, your fences are very high, you have all the security, and because you travel on the road and you could be attacked, of course, because of insecurity that you people cooked up to, they all brought into Nigeria. Now they are buying cars. I bet bulletproof cars.
The thing is, they don't want to do anything to protect themselves. They don't have money. There's always money for them whenever they want to do anything to protect themselves. That's for their own selfish gain. But when it has to do with the interest of the country, the interest of the masses, that is when you start seeing that the country is hard, a lot of debts to be paid, and all of that.
But for me, I beg to differ from the the opinion of both of you. I don't know why. I see it from a different perspective. The Nigerian economy, as it is now, or the Nigerian budget, is about 13 trillion naira for a year. And if you take into cognizance the money spent on purchasing SUVs, for crying out loud, this is below 2% of the whole budget.
I don't understand. What about the masses?
No. The masses elected these people to represent them, and these people have to go into the hinterland to discover the projects being handled there, to supervise it, to do. Them pointing people to the ministers is actually a very valid point that nobody wants to talk about. The ministers actually are more like appointees of the president, who of course do constitutionally backed. It's more like help the president to coordinate the affairs as regards to his policy, as regards to his agenda, as regards to his manifesto. But the senators are actually electorally backed. Should I say constitutionally backed by election? These are the people's representative. So whatever money spent buying an SUV for them is actually spent for buying an SUV for the people that they represent. I think that is what most Nigerians don't want to.
I disagree with that, sir.
But the SUVs definitely were not being bought because they are Nigerians. They were bought because they are senators in Nigeria. But my problem with the whole policy is that the Bureau for Public Procurement has not been up and doing. Because if the BPP has been up and doing, then we will not be talking about the money spent, because this money could have been transformed to the local content. Looking at the local contents bill that's been passed, if we're saying we're spending 2 billion naira, 10 billion naira buying cars for our senators, for our House of Assembly members, for the House of Rep members rather, and this money is used to buy cars produced in Nigeria, I think we can celebrate something from there. If it's used actually to put back into the Nigerian economy, you can celebrate something from there. But if you're telling me that the money is being used to buy cars, which are, of course, are going to be imported from outside the country, that is where I have a problem. That is where I see a challenge, because this is capital flights. Money is leaving the country, going to foreign countries that don't even have any need to do business with us, because we don't have any trade deal with most of the countries that bring in the cars and dump it with us here. But if you're talking about buying a car, even in the United States of America, the senators have a car. In the United States of America, their representatives, they have a car. It is authorized by the Constitution. Maybe we're looking at it from the wrong aspect. These cars are not bought because of them. They were bought because they have a job which the people elected them to do. But my problem, like I said again, is the fact that these cars are being imported. These are not locally produced cars. If they were to be produced in Nigeria, then it means we'll say putting money back into the manufacturing sector, which of course will trickle down to the average Nigerian on the long run. That is my own position on this.
Okay, but my own opinion on this is that, like you did say, yes, there are lawmakers in developed countries, and of course, they are entitled to cars, but they are not entitled to that flamboyant lifestyle. For instance, there's something I've noticed here. When I came, Daddy Chris used to tell me that just look around when you go out, you will notice that there is no, you hardly see people, are having drivers, and you will even see prime ministers. They are like, the level is almost like that of every other person around, right? This convoy, this bodyguard, these securities, and I've seen where before. I live close to these people, and I've seen where before from National Assembly, where most time I'm driving, you will see them coming out. Even your children, the convoy alone, sometimes you will be wild. These are the issues we talk about. It's not necessarily the fact, of course, as lawmakers, they deserve cars. But what we're saying is that at this point in time, and if you go into the details of that news, you will sometimes you will just say these people they don't know what they are doing as lawmakers when you read the news carefully. Now, at the end of the day, they are not even telling us to go and examine our ministers so that the searchlight will now move away from them to ministers. This is something that the lawmaker said, and you think is applaudable on a national.
They are pointing us in the right direction. They are pointing us in the right direction.
Okay, just maybe then we'll still put the searchlight on the ministers. But I really think as lawmakers, these people should learn to. There was a news yesterday, Ken, that says the Onshu government ban government officials from foreign trip. Are you getting? Now this is how a government should work. This is something that is applaudable. And we know that at the federal level, it will be difficult because, of course, you can't tell Tinubu not to leave the country. You can't tell some of your senators not to leave the country. So, and that is why I said at the federal level, it will be difficult. But that is the way to go. Maybe, just maybe, when they are here. And I tell you something, when I came to UK, the flight I came with a renowned sitting politician. So we came out together. And do you know this man was carrying his bag all by himself? He was just going like a normal person. It is not the renowned, politician in Nigeria. And I was wondering if we were to be at our airport, convoys, bodyguard, so much noise would have been there. Now these people know what they are doing actually, not like they don't know, but I just bet like they tend to misuse power. That is what they think. Now they are telling us that these cars are for because they are being purchased because of insecurity. Now I want you to mark that word, insecurity. What becomes of the common man on the street since you now decide since you now decide to, first and foremost, your houses, the fences are so high, bodyguard, and of course security here and there. And I've once interviewed a lawmaker, then a senator, and we went to his house. You needed to see the house. So these are some of the issues. You cannot even assess these people unless they want you to assess them. And now they are buying so much cars, telling you insecurity. What of the ordinary man on the street, ordinary person on the street? And of course, you are not pushing us to the minister. Well, Nigerian media, I think they know what to do anyway. They will still put the focus on our ministers. It's maybe it's a way to go. But of course, we move on quickly to the next newspaper we have, and that will be the Daily Trust. Now, these are some of the stories coming from the Daily Trust. We have here as the main headline: War on Gaza. UN Secretary General accuses Israel violating international humanitarian law. And that story is on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Kogi Bayelsa Imo governorship polls. INEC chair raises alarm over violence. And that story is on page 11 of the Daily Trust newspaper. MTN ordered to pay 57.5 billion tax defaults to federal government. And that story is on page 20 of the Daily Trust newspaper. As I will have a story here that says elder statesman Adamu Fika dies at 90. And that story is on page 8 of the Daily Trust newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says how banditry forced Zamfara residents out of their homes. And that story is on page 23 of the Daily Trust newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Senate defends exotic cars for members, says Nigerians road bad. And that story is on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Bandit raid Kaduna Mosque, gunned down Imam worshipper. And that story is on page 8 of the Daily Trust newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Lagos doctor backs live jail for defiling wife nurse. And that story is on page 17 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Now, these are all the stories we have coming from the Daily Trust newspaper. Now, there's a story here, Ken. This story has a lot of details. Your senators saying, I just feel lawmakers can lie. And so each time they are caught in the web, they try to always defend themselves. And they don't know that actually you are not talking to children. I went on X yesterday, and I saw some analysts. You needed to see the way they were analyzing your lawmakers. Now, some of them are not telling you that they bought these exotic cars because Nigerian roads are bad. Some are saying due to insecurity. Is that not laughable?
but it's two position of things. The roads are bad, and of course there is insecurity.
Okay, so you are not left to your own fate as a Nigerian. Okay.
Well,
Anyway,
I think that's why they need a car for them to be able to solve the problem.
Isn't that better they fix the road?
No, so they can solve the problem.
Isn't that better they fix the road instead of
They need to get to the road
which is
to make it
better?
right.
do they even use the road? That is the question we should ask. How many times do they fly
They
the
use it to
road?
the airport, but they're not supposed to fix it for us.
Well, that
I
is
think
laughable.
we'll do
And
something
of
with
course, there's a very disturbing story here that says, of course, Gaza war is quite disturbing and we sue for peace. But there's another story here I saw that says, bandits raid Kaduna Mosque, gun down imam and worshipper. That did happen. Of course, we saw that news yesterday. And we don't know what's happening, but they just went into a mosque and they killed the imam and, of course, a worshipper. And there's another story here that says MTN ordered to pay 57.5 billion tax defaults to federal government. Let's not forget that MTN is not even a Nigerian company. Are we aware of this?
Honestly.
And they have been defaulting. Now, these are marked to 57.5 billion. How whopping is that? And this only means one thing. In Nigeria, the institutions are not working, no laws.
Yeah.
Kenneth, throw your weight on this.
Well, it boils down to what you just said now. The institutions are not working. The Federal Inland Revenue Service is as dead as anything could be in Nigeria. In fact, they are the weakest revenue generation agency in Nigeria. They only throw about the figures they brought about. They just tell you we'll be able to raise 200 billion in the first quarter. But I ask a question: are Nigerians properly taxed? Especially the businesses in Nigeria, they're properly taxed. MTN, I believe, when the Muhammad Buhari administration took over, in fact, this was one of the first things they did. MTN had about a $2 billion, fine then from the Muhammad Buhari administration that it had to involve the South African government getting into the negotiation process to, placate them. And this was because of the capital flights of money MTN is engaged in. They gather money in Nigeria, they ship it out of Nigeria in dollars, and it makes our currency very weak, makes our currency to lose value and the rest. But MTN defaulting on tax, my question is it just about giving them some judgment, probably slamming some fine on them? There has to be some bigger, level of, discipline pointed out to MTN, because MTN over time has become flagrant in abuse of government laws and policies and everything.
And they steal from us as well.
A lot. And
because sometimes you just see your money being deducted, you buy airtime, and the next thing they charge you for what you did not even subscribe for.
Oh! In fact, Princess, I have a backlog of money of the different transactions I've done trying to buy data. I even had to spend a greater amount of yesterday in the bank fighting over that, about 7,000 naira, and it's from MTN, of course, in partnership with the Nigerian banks.
But that's realistic. But most Nigerians prefer the use of MTN.
No, because of the wide reach of MTN. Over time,
it doesn't mean because we prefer using it means that they have the right to start stealing, duping us, or not paying their tax. Now, a Nigeria in South Africa cannot do such a thing. We all know that. We all know the way that we are being treated there. And then they come here. In fact, the leverage they have is something I don't even get. That is why I say Nigerians, the institutions are not working. You walk into a country freely, and then you do what you have to do freely, and you go freely as well. That is the state of Nigeria, and that is what we're talking about. You cannot do anything in another country without explanation. Details is what they ask for. They don't care who you are. It's the details they want to see. And then in Nigeria, you just see people walking in. They do what they want to do. And of course, they just go away and they get away with it. Nobody will ask them. And there's this cliche when foreigners come into Nigeria, the way we even not carry them as more than our own people. Now, there's something I saw when I came in. When you're going through the immigration, their own, if you're a resident or UK citizen, it's different. You just go easily, right? But for others, you have to go through a thorough process. Are you getting now? So This is what a country should look like. You don't just allow people walk into your country because you feel like, okay, we uphold these people, they are this or they are that. And that is what we've seen in Nigeria so far. That is why NTN will continue to do these things. Look at what DSTV is doing today. Whether you watch or not, you view or not, time it's gone. But if you go to other countries, you not pay per the amount you watch. Do you get? But why is it that Nigeria? I remember one time Senate actually summoned them that if they don't reduce their subscription rates and do this and do that. But you know what? Somebody told me, a journalist then, I went to NUJ, and a journalist was telling me, senior correspondent was telling me that I should watch this because he was a correspondent, that I should watch it, that carefully the issue will die off. You know why? They know how to go and resolve the issue behind. They settle our lawmakers, and you know what? They die the issue. And that was exactly what happened. Look at us today. We pay so much for viewing, and at the end of the day, sometimes you are not even home for days. Sometimes, you are not even at home. You leave the house in the morning, you come at night, you're tired, you go to sleep, and that once that time comes, they take it off. It's really sad. It's sad. And anyway, we move on quickly to the next newspaper we have, and that will be the Blueprint newspaper. These are some of the stories coming from the Blueprint newspaper this morning. We have here, the main headline says, troop hits terrorists, Mina residents recover 150 rifles. And so the writer says 20 rockets, propeller, others too. Suspect escaped into forest. 7 family members arrested. Operation lasted for hours. We couldn't sleep. This is coming from the residents. Terrorists invade mosque, kill imam, one other in Biringwari, and all these stories on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Senate justifies 6 billion 2000. Senate justifies 6 billion 2023 model Toyota Land Cruiser for 107 senators, and that story is on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. As well, there's a story here that says we've seen that story before about the medical doctor. That will make our discussion later, so I'm just going to skip that. We have a story here that says Bayelsa Imo Kogi INEC first over judgment, court orders. And that story is on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says federal government, states, local governments share 903.480 billion naira in September allocation. Now, this is coming from FFAC, and that story is on page 12 of the Blueprint newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says Tinubu receives Quacks win report on fiscal policy tax reform, and the story is on page 5 of the Blueprint newspaper. As well, we'll have a story here that says UBA Awareness Week, stakeholders canvass inter-agency collaborations, and that story is on page 22 of the Blueprint newspaper. These are all the stories we have coming from the Blueprint newspaper this morning. And there's a story here also that says FCT doctors lament proliferation of organ transplant centers. That story is on page 18 of the Blueprint newspaper. These are all the stories we have coming from the Blueprint this morning. And there's a story here as well that says can I look at this story of troop hits terrorists, Mina resident, recover 150. And the writer here, Blueprint, actually went into details to explain that 20 rocket propellers, others too. Those were other things that were actually found there. And also we saw a story here that said the suspect escapes into forest. Because I know they live in the forest. I used to have the idea in mind that these people cannot be among us, but I'm even surprised they actually they have families as well. 7 family members arrested, and operation actually lasted for hours. You see that even the residents are lamenting that they couldn't sleep because of maybe the battle with these people. And we've seen that now this is what I want us to do. Let us do a follow-up, or maybe let's just watch and see where this story we go to. You've seen a terrorist, you've seen the family. That means there's actually a link to this person and some other people. But let's see what will come out at the end of the day. We know that stories like this, after a while, you hear nothing, and that is one of
But
the
that's
problems.
just how it has been happening. After a while, you hear nothing about it, and I don't know why they're actually not taking actions about this banditry stuff. That has to do with the lives of people. Sometimes they come into a particular place and they will just ask you to leave. You understand, and take over the place. And I feel like, okay, since
So
they're
that
taking,
is what we saw in Mina on the news the other day. A
yes, I feel
community,
like, okay, since
single
they
person
made this
had to.
announcement publicly, you people should leave, just like what they did in Sabo say. They are coming to take over this place. I feel like, okay, so now the Nigerian forces, you understand, should just retaliate to this and fight these people back. But at the end of the day, nothing. Like they'll just leave them to stay there. I'll be like, wow. And this is the country we are living. Honestly, God will help us though.
Well, what can we do at the end of the day? Uh, Kenneth, I don't know what to do with you, but this you and your senators, I don't understand you people.
I don't know, it's like as if he's siding them. Oh, let's be realistic here.
No,
I don't understand.
Who's on their side? Kenneth,
I'm,
we can see that even these cars are 2023 model. Who does that?
You can imagine him not seeing anything wrong in what they're doing,
I'm
trying
being-
to pimp this
I'm
thing,
being-
telling me it's a normal
I'm
thing that
I'm
happens.
being, I'm
It's
being
only
impartial in the whole thing.
it's
Of
only
course,
in
if you want to get them
Nigeria
a car, it has to be
like this.
2023 model.
But at least not with the present situation of this country. Like this thing is happening at the wrong time.
Well,
And you're not seeing anything wrong in it.
for me, like I said, the only thing I see wrong in it is that the cars are going to be imported. Aside that, any money spent to patronize Nigeria, buy Nigerian goods, goes back to the economy, which of course provides jobs for those that manufacture these cars. And in the long run, it also helps the senators to fulfill their constitutional obligations. And Mary, I'll take you on the rather, please, I'll take you on the the banditry and. Mary talked about these bandits coming and asking people to vacate the communities and they want to take over. I think one thing Nigerians have forgotten when it comes to these issues is the angle of climate change. You're having people in the Sahel that are losing land, losing water. They need to come upland. I am not in support of them, resorting to arms to take over lands and everything. But you have legitimately people are becoming displaced in Nigeria due to climate change, due to the fact that they don't have access to land, they don't have access to pastures for their cattle and everything. So I think a comprehensive strategy should be developed. We saw Goodluck Jonathan do something of such when he was the president, when he launched the Green Wall initiative, where over 50 million trees were to be planted in the northern Nigeria to safeguard the ecosystem there, to get these people back to the land, get them back to their communities. As long as you have people who their natural habitat is no longer comfortable to stay, of course, they don't have access to road, access to water, access to healthcare and everything. They will definitely come upland, and when they come upland, there's always going to be a scuffle between the indigenous who owns the land and, of course, the settlers who want to come in. So I think as much as we want to get the security agents to tackle this menace, the government has to develop a two-pronged approach to this. The asymmetric, angle of just bringing boots and bringing soldiers on the ground to fight and shoot will never work. It has not worked over the years. There has to be an angle towards resettling this. These are Nigerians anyway. We have to come into the idea of resettling them into better communities, into giving them another means of livelihood. I like I said earlier, I am not of the opinion that they should invade another person's community. Of course, they tried that in our southeast, it never worked out. But the government needs to bring up an approach because
Literally, they're not just invading. Sorry to cut you short. They're not just invading people's communities. They are taking lives, and that is the problem. So how will you tell me that the Nigerian security are cool with them taking lives? They're not doing anything.
You see, life will always be taken because this is going to be a scuffle.
But
You can't come into someone's land and expect them to give you the keys to the land. Of course, when they try to do that, there's always skirmish.
so then what is that thing that's giving them leverage to say, okay, I want this place and they will stay there, nothing will happen to them in someone's country? You understand?
The thing giving them the leverage is the fact that they are human beings. Mind you, we also have Africans who run to Europe through illegal means of migration. The Europeans are not throwing them into the sea and asking them to die.
Do they kill Europeans?
Let me tell you, if the Europeans do not welcome them and give them asylum and give them shelters, they will eat them because these are monsters who raise.
Let me tell you, Ken. No, if these people actually came in with weapons, you can't invade somebody's country with weapons that you have to leave. We must go in. These people are vulnerable. They are just looking for greener pastures, and the civilized world recognize that. They understand that these people want, a better life. Unlike these ones, like what Mary is saying, they come, they vacate you, and they even give you notice, and they come, they start shooting. They just shoot, and anybody that try to challenge. People cannot even challenge them. We know that people, and sometimes they even come when they try to invade. People still run when they see them, but they just tend to shoot just to to announce.
Why not chase them away? Why not chase them away? But they'll make sure they finish a particular family.
Now, even hold that thought, you guys. Hold that thought on that story. Now, I want us to move to Vanguard, but I want you to look at the picture there carefully, and that is what I want us to discuss on, right? The headline here of Vanguard says Nigeria needs $10 billion annually to fund SDGs. Now, this is coming from federal government, and some of the writers says funding biggest challenge of SDGs. Private sectors must complement government. Now, all these stories on page 20 of the Vanguard newspaper. And we saw a story here that says Clark seeks expulsion of Abia, Imo, Ondo from NDDC on page 12 of the Vanguard newspaper. And there's a story here that says the Senate to probe federal government's 11.35 trillion term of refineries. And that story is on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. As well, we have a story here that says grand rent debt. We will step on toes, Wike tells defaulters. And that story is on page 25 of the Vanguard newspaper. There's a story here that says presidential poll. INEC must probe why upload of results to IRI failed. This is coming from Jega. We know that Jega is the former INEC chairman. And that story is on page 4 of the Vanguard newspaper. There's a story here as well that says federal government extends stay of record envoys by 3 months. And that story is on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. And the sport desk of Vanguard says Osimhen Boniface lead list of Nigeria's most valuable players. And that story is on page 13 of the Vanguard newspaper. Now, let's look at, and there's a picture there, the cover picture. The headline says it's quite small. It says at Niger State Green Economy Summit. Now, that is the governor, Bago, at the middle of that picture. And you can see that just when we have insecurity issues in that state, Niger is one of the states I've seen that these people come, they don't even go. They just come, they evacuate the owners of the land, the villagers, and they build their tents there. They build their camp there. I have a friend, a younger friend that told me that, Auntie, do you know that when I was coming from school, all the way, if you've gone to Niger State before, maybe Bida to be precise, that is where we have Federal Polytechnic Bida. Now, if you have traveled through that road, you will see that it's quite a long journey. Now, from Mina to Bida is a long journey, and it's a tiny road. And this boy told me that, Auntie, do you know from Bida to Mina, there is no one single checkpoint, and sometimes you have to drive for minutes without seeing a car coming. I tell you something. Let's say, for instance, you have a bad tire, or you have your car developed fault, or something happened. What will happen to these people? And this small boy was telling me, Auntie, I'm very, very scared. I don't want to go back to school. Traveling on that road, there's this code that comes with it, because that is where people are being kidnapped on daily basis. And then you don't have one checkpoint there. These are the issues. Now, Niger is one of the states that is topping any security. And you can see proudly how the governor is not doing summit. But if you ask me, Ken, I would have thought that security summit would have been the way to go. Now, what's your take?
Well, a security summit would be good. But I think the security architecture of Nigeria is long overdue to be rejigged, to be reshaped. Like you talked about, from Bida to Mina, the distance, and of course no police checkpoints. But I think you also need to consider the fact that Niger is one of the largest states, if not the largest, in Nigeria, with thousands of acres of bush, where we have no practically nobody staying out, even most times no agricultural activity going on there. So it means if you're keeping a police officer there, for me, most times I do say it even on broadcast that the idea of putting checkpoints in isolated environment and having police officers, maybe 4 or 5 of them stand with some AK-47, is just more like setting them up to die. Because if anybody that has an idea of the terrain decides to attack them.
Sorry to cut you, not for Niger State. Niger State has a lot of things happening there. You understand? They need security. She just talked about BIDA. They also have a federal university. They have a college of education.
They need security.
They have a state university.
I don't doubt the fact that they need security. But what kind of security they need? Is it people that will stand on the bush without any support? There is no, of course, in the United States, when you're setting up a security architecture, you need to have a QRF. That's a quick response force for those that are attacked. Most of the police officers, we don't even consider these are human beings too.
But
if you post them there,
they always busy. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I understand my point now. You're going to post somebody to go and man on a bush, or rather on a bush path, even if the road is busy. What amenities are you going to provide to help the security officer? The policeman is not a god. The policeman is a human being that bleeds blood and water. So if you're putting him there, and of course attacks has been happening, most people have died there. Even when they die, their families are evicted from the police barracks without benefits paid. I am not of the opinion that the road should be unmanned, but I'm saying this: we live in the 21st century. There are other ways you could even protect the places. Why have we not been able to talk about using drones to monitor the activities on the road? You don't even need the police officer to stand there to get to these criminals. If you put a drone, what do you call it, a drone watch, not just one drone. If you have, like the way the Israelis use in protecting their borders, you discover that most times they don't even have soldiers who stay these borders. They just put up the drones, and then there's a drone control center where someone is able to see millions of acres of land, even not able to premeditate and predictate if an attack is going to happen. You're going to put security officer on the Mina Bida road, which of course, if you don't want to say it's busy, it's a very isolated road. Like you said, hours on the journey, nobody, no bush, no house, nothing. And you're going to keep somebody there. If someone attacks him, they don't even have a hospital you're going to take them to. There is no, of course, if you even take them to the hospital, even with their police uniform, the hospital will ask you to go and get a police report before you can treat a police officer that was attacked on the road.
Now, Ken, let's look at it from this angle, right? Okay. Now we are seeing that beautifully well dressed, and look at that picture. We're seeing that the state governor Bago Mohammed is there, and of course he is. They just finished a Niger State Green Economy Summit. For instance, you are now bringing investors, right? Yeah. You now want to develop the green areas, the lands, because they've of course only Niger State can even feed Nigeria because they have the land too. Honestly. But how optimistic are you that when these people comes in to invest and security is not guaranteed, they will stay?
That is it.
For me, I would say the Nigerian police force, as of today, is about 32,000 police officers. Okay. Or a little above that. I'm just using only the police office now, the police officers. If you deploy all of them to Niger State, Princess, they cannot cover the breadth and length of Niger State.
We are not talking. Ken, if you're a traveler in Nigeria, I travel, right? I travel. For instance, sometimes I use car from Abuja to Delta, right? And sometimes, while I was in Nigeria, I like traveling in the night, right? I leave Abuja maybe 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. in the night, and I will drive straight to Delta. So before early morning, we're already at home. Even when I'm leaving Lagos, maybe I went to carry a new car, bring in a car will just clear. Sometimes I will drive all night. Now, let me tell you something. It's not about the police alone. If you're traveling Abuja Road or Abuja to Lagos or Lagos to Benin, you can see there that there are a lot of securities on the road. There are checkpoints. You see army, you see police force, and sometimes you will see civil defense. Are you getting my point? Yeah. But now in Bida to Mina and things, we can't have not 1, not 2, not 3 checkpoints. It's not something that we should applaud, Ken, because you have major institution. Even is this Sunny? There's one university before Bida, one of is it Sani?
Balamasi Babangida University, that is the
Thank
IDB.
you. Yeah, so we have major institutions where a lot of young Nigerians ply that road on daily basis, and then I don't think I don't think Nigeria as a country, as a state, or the force has any excuse as to why there should not be some checkpoints on that road. Now, there's something on Benin Expressway to Lagos or Abuja Expressway to Benin. The amount of if you're traveling, the amount of checkpoints you see on that road, why can't we have it somewhere else well equipped? At least we can have them stretched across the road, just like the way you have in other express east-west roads across the country. Why is that
Can I tell you the bitter truth? Can I tell you the bitter truth?
Go ahead.
The bitter truth, which even the police, Nigerian police force, if they're hearing me now, they're not going to be happy with me, or any security organization, if they hear me, they're not going to be happy with me. It's the fact that the routes you talked about, Abuja to Lagos and Abuja to Benin and the rest, these are routes where drivers will tip the police officer. Nobody wants to talk about this. The police officers in Nigeria always work where they can secure their stomach infrastructure. If they're going to put them at the Bida to Mina road, nobody's going to give them a tip.
They are just too much in the east.
No, so don't think I'm on the side of the police, but I'm telling you this. In the east where I come from, if you're traveling from Aba, where I'm basically, more domiciled, from Aba to Port Harcourt, the last time I did an investigative report for Genandibo, we counted 37 checkpoints.
It's too much in the
This
east.
is below 12
They don't
kilometers.
even space themselves, honestly.
It's just,
They don't
in
space
fact,
themselves.
sometimes it's just a pole to a pole,
So
a pole to a pole. Now it's because this is where they export money. This is where they're going to get money to give to their superior who posts them. But be that to Mina, of course, the average Nigerite is not even going to give a policeman 20 naira because most times they are impoverished. They don't have the money to give. But I'm not saying every life matters, because the first duty of governance is about security of life and property.
Protecting
So
people.
what I'm saying is this: the governor in Niger State, he takes about hundreds of millions of naira in security votes. What has stopped him to develop the community watch? The community watch that you see that Castina has launched, a lot of states are launching. I'm not saying they should take over the responsibility of safeguarding their people, but like you said, there is need for some level of patrolling, some level of checkpoints, some level of control of restriction of movement in order to ensure safety and security of life and properties. The governor also has a point to play because he is the chief security officer of his state. He has to mobilize the security officers to come down to the Niger State. Most times these officers, they don't even want to go to where they're posted because they don't have the security allowance, the hazard allowance that most of the states tip them, put to their little salary they get for them to be motivated. So, we're going to talk about Abuja to Benin, Abuja to Lagos. It is because these guys are on the road, they are monitoring people bringing cars, monitoring drivers, they're taking money, they're searching Yahoo boys. Police in Nigeria, it only works where their stomach infrastructure is guaranteed. And that is the annoying thing. It's bitter, the truth, but it's something is what we know that.
Okay, there's a story here I want us to look at just before we move ahead. Now, Clark is asking Tinubu to remove Abia, Imo, Ondo from NDC, the Niger Delta states. Me, Kelly, no string attached, but I think that's a good call because I don't know why. For instance, Abia is already under East, and then the Niger oil producing state are supposed to be the Niger Delta state and the riverine state as well. I don't know why we're seeing far Ondo in the west in that list, and of course I don't know why we're seeing Abia and Imo as well. What's your take? I'll be sincere, Kenneth.
I'm going to be very sincere. It is a good call, and is a call that is also laughable. Laughable in the sense that in the dictionary, let me refer to the English Concise Dictionary, there is nothing like a Niger Delta area. You're referring to people of a certain race or a certain region as Niger Delta is more like the joke we have in Nigeria where they say South. There is no South in the compass. There's no South on the map. So him saying remove them from the Niger Delta, he should have asked himself, was there supposed to be a Niger Delta in Nigeria? This is supposed to be the southern Nigeria. So everybody in the southern Nigeria, if you're going to refer to the Niger Delta as those that have, water mass or those that live around the water, there's water mass in Abia State. There are people that live around the riverine areas, and of course in Imo State and the rest. But for me, I think it's a good call, and it's also a wake-up call for the Southeast to sincerely fight for the Southeast Development Commission bill. That bill has passed the second reading as at the Muhammad Buhari's administration. So the Southeast should concentrate more on getting this bill for us to have a Southeast Development Commission. Is going to be an insult for the Southeast to tag themselves with the Niger Delta with the way Nigeria is right now. Of course, most times we see Nigeria, of course, we see the Igbos, where they say the Niger Deltas are Igbos. And they say we are not Igbo. But then the same people you're saying you're not Igbo, you want to go and become one of them. You don't want to become the Niger Delta. You get my point. So what I'm saying is this. The Southeast Nigeria, the governors, the senators, the House of Assembly members, they should look into the Southeast Development Commission bill that has been, of course, passed to the second reading in the House of Rep. They should fight on it. They should lobby for it. They should play the politics involved in getting it out. If there's a Southeast Development Commission, definitely no state in the Southeast will want to go to the Niger Delta and start answering Niger Delta, because if you look at it, of course, the nomenclature of Nigeria is stupid. Sorry to use the word, is deceiving for the Southeast to say that they are in the Niger Delta, because of course with the map and the way we define the Niger Delta, the Southeast is not in the Niger Delta for any reason, for any single reason. Maybe they want to be in the Ospadek, that's the oil producing communities, take their 13% derivation. That is for the communities where we have oil activities going on. Of course, we have that in Imo State, Ebema, and the rest. We also have that in Abia State, in Ndoke and Asa and Owaza, where we have oil wells in a lot of oil wells. We have Shell staying there. We have the corn oil, the Dre oil, and everything. Yes, I'm not against them taking the derivation, but maybe they should stick to the 13% derivation as given to them by the OSPADEC, and then they should forget about tagging themselves as Niger Delta. But then, Princess, the reason why everybody is running to Niger Delta is because the Niger Delta Development Commission is the like Obasanjo would say, is fantastically corrupt. It's one of the commissions that has never done anything that we can see. They've been doing the East West Rail project for over 30 years, and they're not
years, and it's
that's why everybody keeps going to Niger Delta Development Commission, because you can use a street to take 50 million naira, 70 million naira, and say you want to develop your community, you want to walk a road, you want to buy transformer, and at the end of the day, they gather some old women, they give them wrapper, they buy sewing machine and give to the youth, and then they say we've done youth empowerment. So for me, Edwin Clark, you are right on point, and then the Southeast leaders need to sit up and fight for their own, which is the Southeast Development Commission.
Wow, very valid point there. And the last paper, we're just going to take a few headlines here and we'll call it a day. But we move on to the topic of the day, because I seems for some reason cannot find it on my both phones. I don't know what happened. Maybe I mistakenly took it out. So we move on quickly now to the topic we have for this morning, but then we'll go on a quick break. When we return, we will continue with Wake Up Nigeria. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.
Hooray! The next President Show is here again. Are you aged between 18 and 30, smart, bold, and possess exceptional leadership skills? Do you have what it takes to be the next youth governor and future youth president? Then register free now at superiorradioandtelevision.com or call the number on the screen. The Next President reality TV show, moving politics out of the polite drawing room into the clamor of the streets. The Next President Show is here again.
Everyone, my name is Hajara Osman Muhammad. I'm the Youth Governor for Kano State, the Nigeria's Center of Commerce.
Pronounced Joel Garba.
the Youth Executive Governor of Kaduna State, and I am contesting for the Youth President of Nigeria under the People's Liberation Party, PLP.
Aged between 18 and 30, smart, bold, and possess exceptional leadership skills. Do you have what it takes to be the next youth governor and future youth president? Then register free now at superiorradioandtelevision.com or call the number on the screen. The Next President reality TV show, moving politics out of the polite drawing room into the clamor of the streets.
Hello, viewers. You're welcome back from that quick break. Yes, this is Wake Up Nigeria. We're still here. There was a major headline yesterday. So social media was agog yesterday, and of course, I followed that trend carefully. It was quite interesting, when something happened and people come out with, different reaction to it. Of course, Nigerians, they felt that judgment was the judgment actually came at the right time, and it was overdue to some. And some felt that with this even serve as a lesson. This has been the question since yesterday, since that verdict. And now we saw yesterday, Ken, where we know a doctor who defiled the niece. And that case has been on for like 2 years. And, the wife, the good thing is that the wife even testified. So when other people were testifying, the wife stood that he did it and all that. So the news is quite, is about a minor we talk about, and it's quite sensitive as well. So I'm not able to play some of the picture, but of course I will still have to put his picture. But let's talk about rape cases in Nigeria. Over the years, we've seen that, I once brought a young girl to my show here, and she was saying that she went to the police station, she went to court as well. And, this guy kept laughing. You understand? The guy will even send her text and messages that you're just wasting your time, nothing will happen. This is Nigeria. She showed me some of these very heartbreaking messages from the man, but eventually she got justice. But it only takes somebody with the energy to keep on going, especially when these people can. I watched a video yesterday. Kate Helsha, they had the Nollywood actress. They say that this particular man comes to court looking offline. Kept telling people he's so close to the commissioner of police and all that, so nothing will happen. This will come and go. This is Nigeria. But yesterday we saw that it was actually a different thing. Now, Ken, do you think this will serve as a deterrent? But before then, a wife coming. We've seen over the years where young minors are being abused, but sometimes your family, the wives tend to cover their husbands just because they don't want to lose their home, or they want to uphold what they call marriage or family. Now, do you think the wife actually did what she did? Other women will want to take a clue from this.
Well, of course, it was a very nice news for me hearing about the judgment yesterday. I personally felt very happy, and I gave kudos to the civil society organizations that kept the pressure on. Like you said, without the pressure being on, a lot would have been lost. More quickly to the wife, like you talked about, I have a way of looking at things, and most times my views are so annoying to a larger number of people. I think the reason the wife was able to testify was because it involved her sister. In this case, most times when it involves the housemates, when it involves the house helps, when it involves those that they brought in from the villages, the wives never talk about it. The reason the wife went to court, thought about this, is because for me, to a large extent, though I say kudos to the woman at the end of the day, but I think this is because the case was a case of our sister, and it was now an issue between family and family. She was rather going to choose either this family of the man or her own immediate family. And of course, something that Reno Moki will always say, that your wife is not your family member, because when it gets to family issues, they will side with their family. But I say kudos to the woman. You really want to celebrate her. No matter how you look at it, it took a lot of courage for her to, take a stand and say, yes, I believe my husband did this, and I think he's guilty, and I think he should serve his time. But also, you want to look at the like you asked, does this serve as a deterrent to, issue of rape cases in Nigeria? I would say no. This might serve as a template. Of course, the law takes this course based on precedents, and this might be a template for future convictions to take place when issues of rape and issues of molestation comes into play in the Nigerian courts. But you want to ask yourself, fundamentally, even in the northern Nigeria, we have cases of child marriage. That for me also amounts to a certain level of rape, because you're having a young child, a minor, 13 years, 12 years, getting married, and of course sexual activities will follow, and then nobody is even taking those ones to court. Where we have the case of a former minister, former senator, Yerima, at the time, that went to take a child bride, and no one said anything. But I remember sometime within this year, I saw the child bride now looking, more mature. Of course, they've kept it out of the spotlight for all those years, and then they're bringing it back now. And it's looking, nobody's even talking about the fact that this girl was married as as an adolescent, and of course, definitely, sexual activities was always going to take place when dowry has been paid. So I think, yeah, the case will serve as a precedent for future cases, but I don't think it's going to be a deterrent, because in the average Nigeria rather, the average Nigerian girl goes through a lot of harassment sexually. You go to the car park, you want to enter a car, you see the way they talk to ladies. In fact, most times the ladies pass, and then you see the man in the park just tap her, from the behind without justification. It's so annoying. And when that happens, everybody starts to laugh. Like you said, people start to laugh. Even if you go to the police to go and complain, I think this man has, harassed me sexually, or he has molested me sexually. They tell the ashes, why did you go to his place? Did you, if you know you're not.
Ken, I beg to disagree when you said, I just wanted you to land first. I beg to disagree when you say, when it comes to rape cases in Nigeria, that the wife actually spoke out because it was a niece. No, she's just an understanding human being. We had a case there in Port Harcourt where a pastor was called out that she was actually abusing the daughter also, and the wife came out to say no. Meanwhile, the daughter kept saying no, this is true. And then we've seen other cases where they have seen in Anambra also on the news, where a father was busy molesting three children, and the mother was there. Even they had to bring the mother out. I know the youth wanted to beat her that day. How can a woman like you keep this? That, oh, she didn't want to bring the husband out and all that. So I think it has to do with it's an individual thing, and perhaps the woman, this other woman, it's more, maybe she's exposed and she knows that she might get justice. I know, but somebody in our mother somewhere will say, okay, that thing, marriage in Africa, that's a cliche that as a married woman you will have to, especially things that have to do with rape, is something that is quite sensitive. And perhaps the woman also said she didn't want to bring her daughters out. She didn't want people to know that it's an abomination where she's from. So she was trying to cover it so that she will not become a laughing stock, and that was her excuse. And so I think it has to do with the person involved. And this lady yesterday, people were quite happy that she was the one, that she was the number one. How do you call that in court, Ken? She was the number one.
She was a prime witness.
And so she was where other people were actually accusing the man. She was the one that stood that yes, he did this, and the acts the man did, it was quite horrible. It's not something you want to discuss here. And apparently that was what she saw, and she couldn't take it, knowing fully well that this is a child, and this could actually be your child. And a medical doctor, and from all this, we've seen that this guy is even a renowned doctor, cancer doctor. We don't have we don't have much of them in Nigeria. But what do you think this speaks of that profession? Somebody of his caliber, being sentenced to life imprisonment.
Well, of course, in the medical field, they are still human beings, and they are bound to their flaws. But I think a friend will always say when we are still in the university that we'll have a lot of perverts, in the medical field. I think also if the Nigerian Medical Board will want to do a thorough, investigation into the clinic where this young man has worked. Of course, this is a doctor with access to anesthesia. He could induce it on some, of course, some clients or sick person in the hospital, and also take kind of knowledge of them. We also want to look into the cases he's been handling over the years to be sure that he's not taking, undue advantage with his position as a medical doctor. If he could do this to a teenager, in his own house, what can you say about teenagers who are suffering from cancer, who've been brought to him, left under his care? He had the opportunity to, administer drugs that could possibly help them sleep off, and he will have his way. I'm not accusing him or the clinic where he's worked, but I'm saying is a big dent to the Nigerian medical profession. He speaks little of the profession where people come to entrust their life under your hands, and they believe that you as a doctor, you have the doctor-client privilege. You should be able to protect them. You should be able to be their confidant. So basically, he has failed his duty as a doctor, and I expect him to, of course, be excommunicated from the medical profession forever. Maybe if they have any other way of discipline. But for me, I think he has no need to practice medicine, because he has in fact he has desecrated that noble profession. He has brought shame in the medical field in Nigeria as a medical profession. And this is a specialist, someone that handles cancer and the rest of it. So maybe we really need to look into the cases he's been handling over time to be sure he has not taken an undue advantage of his clients with his position.
No, it's quite sad that in a country where we don't have so many specialists, one is out because it's out for good.
Very sad.
It's out for good. But yesterday you could see the footages all over, the videos all over social media. People were actually, the women rights and all that. So I think that case was a case that a lot of women rights activists were actually on, because they felt that the most painful part of it is that it's coming from a renowned doctor, right? If this were to be like an Agberu or a Tat somewhere, they would say, okay, but this is a big medical doctor that actually knows the law and knows the implication, and he went ahead. And people are like what you said, people felt over the years he would have been doing this, and people were accusing him, but nothing happened because, of course, he's a big man. But now we've seen that. Do you think the judiciary system, people actually applauded the judiciary yesterday that Nigeria is now, we are, even though in the midst of electoral, tribunal cases here and there, Nigeria beginning to see changes in the judicial system. That was what one of the activists said. Now, what's your take on that, Ken?
Well, for me, like I always say, Nigerians only praise the judiciary when the case favors them. Whenever the case is not on their favor, they say lawyers, you people are thieves, you people are liars. You are not lawyers anymore, you are liars. But kudos to the judiciary. Like I say, Nigerian judiciary is actually one of the best in Africa. It's just that because of politics and social media, a lot of narratives have been drawn over time about the Nigerian judiciary. Even when you look at the electoral cases, when they read their judgment, they tell you in specific terms how they were able to come to such conclusions. But like I said earlier, Nigerians only praise the judiciary when the case is in the public favor, or when they
feel like they are corrupt.
No, they are not. This is like I always say, the judiciary or the law does not work on emotions or sentiment. Rather, it works with evidence, with facts, and of course with precedent. The reason why this case was won in the first place was not because someone said I was raped, or because we saw a girl crying that she was raped. It was because facts were presented, evidences were brought into play. The wife testified. So these are strong, hard. Is a rock solid case. So there was no way the prosecution was going to lose the case. But if there were no evidence, or let's say if the girl did not even speak up in the first place, there was never going to be a case. If the wife did not come to testify against the husband, there was never going to be a case. If the doctors did not perform the due test to determine yes, there was forceful entry, there was rape in this case, there was psychological trauma done to this lady, then nobody would have won the case. So like I keep saying, Nigerian judiciary is one of the best in the world. I'm proud to be a lawyer in Nigeria. I can tell you, Nigerian judiciary is rock solid. Only the fact that they don't deal with emotions, they just deal on evidence presented. And most times, we don't have enough evidence to pursue some cases. And I would really want to commend the civil society organizations. Most people might not know what they've done behind. They were able to, of course, they were able to push a narrative in the media, keep, bringing the case to spotlight, because most times these things help too. When the judges want to take their ruling and they see that the public is so concerned about it. Even yesterday when the judgment was already, if you watch the clip, you see that the turnout at the count was beyond the normal turnout. People were really interested in the case. So there's no way anybody was going to tamper with the case in that aspect. So I really want to commend them, and I'll say this: the judiciary is good. Just don't look at it being bad when the case does not favor you.
Well, I don't know about you say all that. That is quite correct. But when it comes to tribunal issues and some political issues, we know that is always different. But no, the topic is not about the judiciary today; it's just about rape. So I will not go. I will not go that way. Now, Mary, when we talk about rape cases in Nigeria, would you say we are the victim? Sometimes we are being, we are, at fault as well, because a lot of people will say, maybe it's the way you address, is the way you present yourself. We know it is not all, because what of children? Children will not even say, "Come and rape me," or "I want this." But looking at overall cases so far we've seen, and of course rape cases in Nigeria, do you think the victims are at fault as well, or they play part in it?
If you ask me, I won't say they are at fault actually, because sometimes one of the problems that these victims have is
Mary, are you cold?
not really, not really. I think it's fear. Fear is what is actually overclouding them, because I think there's this my classmate that got raped by her father for 3 good times. The thing is, she didn't speak out the first time because she was actually threatened by the man that if she speaks out, that he's gonna kill her. And you were there, he raped you the first time, the second time, and the third time. I think it was the stepmom that actually caught them, you understand, before the whole thing just escalated. So the only thing I can say is, if he's talking about the aspect of their indecent dressing leading to rape, I don't think that should be a reason why you should rape someone. Because that is where self-control comes to play. If you have
I
this,
agree with you.
no matter what anyone is wearing, it shouldn't be a reason you should rape them. The only thing I would say is their fault is the part that they aren't speaking out when these things happen, and it is when it has destroyed a lot or it has caused a lot of damage, that is where they come out to speak. You understand? So to some extent, it is not their fault, and to some extent, it is their fault.
So for me, Princess, I'll quickly add,
Mm-hmm.
there is no case of rape that is the fault of the person that was raped. Because
Okay.
you can't say someone was dressed indecently. You are the one that decided to look at her indecently.
It is only when they don't speak
Okay.
out that
You understand? No, I'm not mentioning. What I'm saying is this now. Most times we try to throw the narrative about dressing. There is no
Why not you
indecent
have
dressing.
self-control for yourself?
Everybody has
Why
a
not
right
have
to
self-control?
dress up the way they want to dress up.
Yes.
If you are not comfortable with it, you might want to look at
Look
certain-
away.
So if you are looking at the person, you are the one looking indecently, not the
But
person dressing.
you know why she's asking that question? Most times, when rape case comes out, you see people saying, it's the ladies that don't dress well. They tend to dress indecent.
Of course,
They keep on
of
blaming
course,
the ladies.
even
Are you supporting the person that raped?
Of course, even the armed robber, when
You
you
get?
catch them, will say it is because I'm hungry. Someone will always look for justification for a crime committed.
So that's
Rape
just it.
rape is a criminal. It's a
So what
criminal
about these
offense.
ones that are raping the younger children? You get. So we used to say that they are dressed.
You get my point now. So
You get?
it is a criminal act. Is an act against humanity. It's an act against God. Because as an adult, there are other means. Even if you are sexually abused, there are other means you could even try to get. You could even pay for it. So there's no way you can say because someone is dressed indecently and has aroused you. For me, I keep saying it when I see such cases in court. You are the one that looked at the person indecently.
That's just.
There's no indecent dressing for me.
Ken, I don't understand. So we have an indecent look. That is quite funny. That is quite funny. Anyways, so now a society like Nigeria, do you think we are doing enough as regard raping or rape cases? Because this is just one, but a few, or just one of many that will see justice. Others, people walk away. People walk away. Others, people, like if you watch that video today, Kentensha was saying that this man has been, boasting that nothing will happen. His friends told the commissioner,
But that's
whatever, his friends to the court. If you needed to see the way he dresses to the court, that no remorse at all. There's something about somebody doing something and you're being remorseful, and you're sorry that he comes to the court looking so fly, carrying his shoulders, nothing will happen. Apparently, he's the big man. And these are some of the issues, like the guest I had that told me that she went through hell. She said she sent me some messages, private messages as well, that these were the messages from the guy that says the police is the in-law or something, the commissioner be the DPO, nothing will happen and all that. And eventually she had to cry out even outside her state. She needed to get people bigger than the person that was shading this person. Do you understand? To get justice. And now people who are not able to cry out, and some people are not able to get, they don't have people as well. What can we do? Do you think the law or the people, the country, were doing enough as regarding to rape cases? Because here in the UK, you dare not even look at, here children can be quite big here. Maybe 13, 14, they'll be bigger than me. And you would think that they're even 20 something or 30 something, but you dare not look. Looking alone here is even a sin if you look at them do you understand? Whether or not they are properly dressed or they are not, they're even naked, you dare not. Now, do you think we're doing enough, Ken?
Well, in fact, thank you for saying that even in the UK, looking alone is a crime. For me, we're not doing enough. Not because Nigeria is not doing enough. Nigeria as a country is doing enough. It is the structures, or rather the system, or rather those the institutions that are not doing enough. We have an a bill on rape, and I think that was what was used in convicting the man, and it makes rape a criminal offense up to a life sentence. But what I think the problem comes from is the law enforcement who are actually supposed to take up these cases, the Department for Public Prosecution who is supposed to push for these cases. Most times you see victims who go to the police station to report rape cases. They are even, in fact, from that point, they begin to suffer another level of psychological trauma. They are psychologically traumatized from what the police officers who met against them. One organization we used to work with in Imparting Generations and Humanity Support for Africa, we brought up the idea when we went to the Commissioner for Police in Ivory. We told him that I think it is high time there is an office set up for rape cases in the police station, so that you don't need to walk into the counter and you're telling someone you're raped. Because for me, I think at that point, even coming to the public where everybody is gathered to say you're raped brings a level of stigmatization with the way the African narrative so victims most times they feel shy because you're gonna have to tell everybody your problem where everybody's gonna look at you. But if there
not just looking at you, Ken, but not just looking at you, but we live in a society where people just tend to mock you for no reason. She was raped, and that becomes your new name, or she was raped, she was this and that. People just tend to look for your trouble just to throw it at you. And maybe that's the reason a lot of people do not come out to say I was raped, or a lot of people hide under that fear. I think that's one of the major reasons. The fear of the society. How will the society take or look at them moving forward?
Yeah, and I think also we need to talk about the fact that after most of these cases are won, nobody talks about rehabilitation of the person who has been raped. Now we're only talking about the fact that the man has been convicted, he's been sentenced, he has to go to prison. One of the young girls who's been raped now, what are our plans for rehabilitation? Most times it's even the civil society organizations that pick up this rehabilitation, try to talk to them, because these people are wounded emotionally, they are wounded physically, they are wounded psychologically. It brings a level of trauma to their brain. Most times when these girls get married, even their husband, if there's a way the husband wants to touch them, they'll start fretting. They feel like it's a rape case, because it's something that happened at that early age. There has to be some counseling, some level of therapy to keep reassuring the mind, bring them back to the level where they need to operate. So I think the women, of course, the Ministry for Women Affairs is doing practically nothing about that. I can tell you that they don't have counselors, even if they have people employed to do that, most times they don't come to work, they don't care. And you know that in rape cases, you don't even wait for the victims to come to you. If it were in the UK, the way I know, they have social workers who will go to you in their house. In fact, they create our time for you, they talk to you, they develop a routine for therapy, a routine for psychoanalysis where they begin to bring the person back to the normal flow. So Nigeria, we don't have that. If they're employed, most of them they employ their cronies, their friends and their families to take up those offices. They answer consultants, psychologists, answer counselors. They don't even come to work. They don't know what is happening. So it's only civil society organizations that do that. And most of these civil society organizations are not even funded by the Nigerian constitution. They only get money from donors, from foreign countries, those that want to help them when they feel like they want to help them. But in an average setting, some of these organizations that take high rates of cases of rape and they tackle it, they get it. Most times, I think the ministry should have strategic partnership with them, since they are the ones on the field. They are the ones who are committed to doing this. Even with that money, they could at least support them. They could at least empower them. If you go to the general hospitals now in Nigeria, they don't have any department that handles counseling free of charge for people who are raped. The Nigerian health insurance scheme does not cover persons that are raped. It only covers malaria and typhoid. Probably you even go and take expired drugs. Let us not even go into that now. What I'm saying is this: in the Nigerian health insurance scheme, where you pay some thousands of naira as an average Nigerian, maybe 1,150, it does not cover rape victims. It does not cover counseling for rape victims. And these are issues that should be addressed by people in the parliament, the people in the House of Assembly, in the House of Assembly, even at the state level, up to the federal level, to the senators. These are critical bills that need to be passed to make it compulsory for rape victims to receive the counseling they need by Nigerian law. Even before you talk about civil society organizations stepping into the gap to fill it, there should be a framework that says if you are raped, if it's proven that you're raped, even without getting justice for your rape, if you say you're raped, first of all, you should be counseled, you should be rehabilitated. Whether it is proven that you are or you are not, then these are things that should be put in place. So in that aspect, the constitutional aspect, a little has been done, but I think more should be done.
And I think also they should do something about the stigmatization part of it, where people are being mocked, because they were raped, because like you people say, it's not actually their fault. And now living in the midst of wolves, people who will come on daily basis to keep reminding you there's one thing to heal, there's one thing to move out of that place, there's one thing to go through counseling, but there's another thing to live in the midst of people who will keep reminding you of what you are coming from. And I think that part should be looked at as well. Well, that's all we'll be able to take today on the show. Good morning, wake up show today. Thank you so very much, Ken, for being on the show today. Thank you, Mary. We appreciate your time. And viewers, thank you as well for being on the show today. Before we go, don't forget so many packages we have on SRTV. We have the travel tour, and we do book your ticket for you to travel the world, for anywhere you're going in the world, for education, for health, tourism, or even holidays. Just call us and we get your tickets ready. Of course, we also have our magazine. Our magazine, as low as 30K, you can just be on the cover. And of course, we showcase your brand, your business, everything you do and everything you want us to showcase as well. And don't forget also that we are into event coverage. Just call us, your wedding, your birthdays, book launch, church service, human prayer, and anything you want to do, we'll be there for you to cover it live. Or if you don't even want it live, we could cover and edit and give to you as well, package it for you as well. Of course, don't forget our rentals as well, where we'll bring you every equipment we have: cameras, lights, editing suite, everything is available at a very minimum rate. And as well, don't forget our event that is upcoming. We have the talent award. That is the convener there. So let me not even say, since Ken is here, Ken can just tell us a little about that. Just what it's all about. That's all.
Well, thank you very much. The next president and the next governor reality TV show. While I might be the convener, these are the trademark of, or rather, would I say, the brainchild of the CEO of SRTV. Mr. Christian Obevera Shaku. He came up with this idea because he has a passion for grooming and mentoring and raising up future leaders to fill in the gap. And for me, I think even the idea is divine because it's bigger than even him himself. He has agreed to that. Everybody sees this idea that is so big because it surpasses Nigeria. We're even looking at the next governor, the next president, South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda. We want to create a resonance across Africa. But quickly back to that, the next president, the next governor TV show is about grooming future leaders. Like the slogan would say, taking politics from the polite drawing room into the clamor of the streets, because it is the streets that own governance. Of course, we say democracy is government for the people, by the people, and of the people. So this is a way of making the people get involved in democracy through governance. The reason for this show is to greet young people, not even involved in governance, but to teach them how to come into governance. Most times, young people think that the only way you can get into politics is to wait when the election period gets. You just go and buy a form and then flying your banners everywhere. And at the end of the day, they don't even get a single vote. But this show teaches you the rudiment of politics, from being able to stand boldly in the crowd to talk about your plans, to be able to communicate your vision to the people, the electorate who want to vote for you. Of course, this also teaches you how to come up with a manifesto, how to be able to streamline your manifesto to policy ideas that can be formulated and that can be passed out, during your administration. Of course, this is also is a third edition of this show. Sorry, and the show over time has been able to produce young people who, after the show, moved straight into governance at a level or the other. The first winner of the show, on the show rather, was Honorable Prince Darlington Onwe, who successfully contested for the House of Assembly in the Ebonyi State under the People's Democratic Party. Sadly, he couldn't make it out, not because he was not going to win, but because the party was engaged in internal crisis. And then the first runner of Napoleon Moses also successfully contested for the House of Assembly in Rivers State under the ADC platform. Let me also reiterate that these are people who were never in governance in any way. They were never involved in politics in any way. But after the show, the team boosted them, pushed them again to move into politics and to look for a way to change the narrative that young people can successfully run the campaign, successfully win elections, and also govern well. The second edition, of course, was run by Chief Deji Mike, who currently is the SA to the AMAC chairman on youth and mobilization. So you begin to see the leverage that this show gives to young people to be able to move into governance full time, move into politics full time, push their own narrative, push their agenda in politics. And the show at this stage is at the governor's level, where you need to, first of all, of course, win your state and become the state governor, and then you move out from there and come to Abuja and contest for the youth president. Let me also add that myself was also an aspirant on the show. So the show is not just about those that want to move into politics. Most of us, after the show, SRTV engaged us one way or the other to manage projects. We also groom you to become presenter, broadcasters. So feel depending on where we see your talent, where we see you can shine, or where you can do well, SRTV of course want to engage you, want to encourage you, want to make you move into your field and achieve what they need to achieve. So kudos to the CEO for this wonderful vision, and we here will keep trying our best to work and see how we can get all the other youth who of course have the passion for this to be involved. This show is going on. Registration has always been the same, free of charge. You can participate in this show free of charge. So you can imagine a show of this nature where you even get to win money and go home. Your participation is free. You don't need to pay money to say you're buying a form to participate or whatever. And it's strictly intellectually based contest. It's not a contest where you win because you know somebody or you have somebody. It's a contest where you win what you have to offer, your ability to mobilize, to organize, and to successfully defend your manifesto. So that is what I can say about the next president and governor for now. And subsequently, more people will be coming on the show to talk about it, participants, and of course those that are also aspiring in this current edition.
Thank you so very much, viewers. Just maybe this video explain more what Ken has been trying to say.
Hooray! The next president show is here again. Are you aged between 18 and 30, smart, bold, and possess exceptional leadership skills? Do you have what it takes to be the next youth governor and future youth president? Then register free now at superiorradioandtelevision.com or call the number on the screen. The next president reality TV show, moving politics out of the polite drawing room into the clamor of the streets.
Hello, viewers. You're welcome back from that short break. Yes, that is what the next president show is all about. Do well and please make use of this great opportunity. And thank you so much for being on the show. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and X, and of course YouTube. Subscribe and also invite somebody to the page. Leave us with your comments as well. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, let's not forget to obey traffic law. Don't drink and drive. Be on water. And remember that peace is priceless. So let's always give peace a chance. We'll see you again on the show, Wake Up Nigeria, hopefully tomorrow. Thank you so much, Ken and Mary. Have a very beautiful day. And viewers, before I go, don't forget Kilaf. Yes, it's coming next month. All realistic kind of indigenous movies. So don't say it's only movies produced in Lagos, in this in Abuja. No, this is they are going to the grassroots. Indigenous movies, local movies with your dialect. You can actually submit them. And of course, this is one very big event that is coming up, and it's from 21st of November to 27th. So if you have any movie like that, who knows, you might just be the one going home with the prize. It's going to be a big event. So do well to submit your movies. We'll see you again tomorrow, hopefully. Bye.
Yeah man, kill off, take kira, wanga bili ode, yake ma, Ghana.
Kill off, make it gadara. Africa ita ce gidanmu. If we don't do now, if we don't do now, kill off, make it gadara. Africa ita ce gidanmu. If we don't know now, if we don't know now.
Every minute, every second, every hour, muna batu ne akan fina-finan Africa. The capital K, the capital I, the capital L, A, F. Mu zo mu tallafa wa harshen Africa. Shiro miro har Swahili, Hausa da Somali, har ma da harshenan Ghana, har da Yorubanci, har ma da harshenan Chad, har da na Barbarci, Morocco, Eritrea, har da na Larabci. Mu zo mu tallafa wa harshen Africa. Shiro miro har Swahili, Hausa da Somali.
Africa ita ce gidanmu. If you don't know